Hey, it's Mike Brennan. We're back with another segment of MI Tech TV. It is, first show of the year is Monday, January 12th. And we have with us Richard Stiennon, who is the founder and chief cook and bottle washer for IT Harvest. And Richard and I have been working together for a long time, even way back in 2011. We did a cybercrime thriller novella together. But today we're going to be talking about, Jesus, we were just talking before we went live, and lots of hacks all over the place, including, this is a good one, SoundCloud breach affects 28 million accounts. What's up with that? Why can't they protect this data, Richard?
Hey, Mike and Matt. So, hey, new year, new breaches. Nothing's good. Nothing's going to change, right? And SoundCloud, like many organizations, finds a lot of, they've grown and they've built so many different components, and they all should be secured, but they've got back end application consoles that just the developers have access to, etc. But sometimes they message those in live public forums or something, and somebody gets a hold of the credentials, they get in, and then they just start harvesting data. And in this case, 17 million email accounts. Not, they're saying, hey, not that big a deal because there's no financial information. But still, if you get an email account and associated password, then you become part of the credential stuffing attacks. Somebody assumes, hey, if you use that password at SoundCloud, you're going to use it at your bank. So next time we go after Bank of America, we're going to log in with your email and the same password, and they'll get in. And all they need is a percentage, right? Is 0.5% of 17 million people is enough bank accounts to cause a lot of trouble.
All right. So the risk there is basically the message there is don't use the same password for multiple accounts, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, the message to us individual users is use a random long password, right? That will never be used again anywhere else. The message to anybody who maintains user credentials is to encrypt those credentials and use a salted hash. So what that means is hashing is super simple. It's a mathematical function that can turn anything into the same number of characters, and it's a one-way hash. In other words, you can't go backwards from the hash to the password, but it is unique, so it's attackable by essentially dictionary attacks. So people have lists of all the possible passwords, they create hashes of them, and then they just do a reverse lookup on the hash. It's so simple to prevent that from ever happening is you take the user's password and you add some random string of numbers and digits to it, and you
Hmm.
hash that. And then whenever somebody logs in, you add the same random string to that person's credentials that the password they provide, hash it, and compare it to your hash tables. So you never have to store the actual username and password in the clear.
Hmm.
And
Okay. Well, there's another hack at Instagram. Tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah, Instagram is denying it. And yet security researchers are going, yeah, we're not so sure about that because there was the ability. Malwarebytes warned its customers that criminals had stolen data from 17.5 million accounts at Instagram. And of course, you probably share your Instagram and Facebook and other meta property uh, um, uh, credentials. It could even be WhatsApp, so be careful with that. So best advice here for those 17.5 million accounts, which they're not going to notify because they're disclaiming that it even happened, is just go change your Instagram login right now
Hmm.
because it's going to be super annoying if your account's promoting Ray-Ban sunglasses next week.
and then we have 5.8 million individuals who looks like they may have lost their social security number. Not lost them, but
Ooh,
have
that's
them
a bad one.
hacked, right?
Yeah, yeah. And you got to admit, we all feel like our social security numbers out there in so many different places probably doesn't really matter. And yet, especially as you get to be our age, very critical if you can log into the Social Security Administration site at the government and maybe change the address to send my Social Security checks to. That could be a problem. And of course, Social Security numbers are used for your credit reporting and all the rest. So super, super critical information that's associated with you. And there's a credit bureau called 700 Credit that experienced a data breach, lost millions of Social Security numbers. Our own Attorney General Nessel, used that to once again remind us it's important to take steps as soon as possible to protect their information. Credit freeze monitoring services can help a lot. There's a lot of talk of those, and of course the remains of the old Norton LifeLock is now a company called Gem, and they're publicly traded, and they make all their money from the LifeLock stuff, which is not something that consumers go and buy. It's something that the breached companies buy en masse. So say, hey, we had 1 million, breached accounts, and we want to tell everybody that they're covered. So we need to purchase from you 1 million, credit freezing accounts, which they do. So, certainly, take advantage of that maybe. But me, I just go to Credit Karma, sign up there. That's perfectly free. They don't send you ads. They will notify you of any hits to your credit rating, and you can, immediately contest them. So it's a really good idea to use Credit Karma to monitor your own credit, which is what I do.